Alrighty, video number 3 of assembling this rear end. Last video I set the pinion, got the backlash set. Now I'm ready to install my range cover. And just looking at this range, how it works. You got power coming from the engine driving that gear. When your selector on your range is in neutral, we can get her into neutral. We're in reverse. Okay, so that's neutral. That's what's happening in neutral. When we go into, I don't know if that's low or high, but when we go into low or high, our differential is turning that way. The other gear would be, the selector would slide that way and connect to that gear, driving. But when we're in neutral, like this, and we pop it into reverse, right there, and we turn our gear, yep, as you guessed it, the differential is spinning backwards. So anyway, we're going to keep it neutral there. We're in neutral. Our cover over here is ready to go. Replace that arm. She had a little bit of a wave to her. Probably going to want to put this guy in there though. That sits in the high-low collar. And that's our high-low shift fork. Kind of want to check the shift fork for wear. This one looks like it has no wear. Put her in there like so. Put the screwdriver down in the hole. Shove the shaft through the hole. Get her to the desired position somewhere. Make sure it slides on there nice and free, or the shaft slides through the hole nice and free. Usually never a problem. Put the retaining clip into the shaft, give it a tap, and do the same with the other one. Yep, so there we go. So right in the middle is neutral. We're gonna put our cover right in the middle. And our reverse should be not in reverse. Reverse selector. So there we know it's reverse because the differential is spinning. So I want to put her back there. I'm gonna move it ahead. Right there. Okay. We'll come over to the cover. One very important thing to do is to bring the park pawl up and put a nut underneath it to keep the park pawl in the disengaged position. Ooh. Okay, that came off. This tool goes on like this, brings that roller that direction, because you got to bring that roller over so it'll fit right in there on the reverse. Otherwise, it just won't work. But other than that, she's ready to get kaplunked on. Take my screwdriver out. Okay. what's holding us up. Looks like it should go. I move my selector back. Not sure why I moved it ahead. Okay. You don't want to go. My high-low is connected. My reverse. Sure looks pretty darn close. Yep. Okay. Give her a tap. And take this out. Without wrecking the gasket. Spray up a touch. What you wouldn't want to do is just lift the cover off with the shaft in there. Because what you could do is bring the shaft up with the cover. Then you have to put your reverse stuff back in, which can kind of be a pain in the ass. There she went. Actually, I can bring my part to the disengaged position so I can turn things when needed. Put on my reverse arm. Put a couple shims on there. A little bit of blue octane on there. Get her tight enough. Now we'll see if everything works. So we're neutral. Nothing's happening. Bring her back. There she went. Now when we're in reverse, differential is going to go that way. Put her back in neutral. Got good detent there. Okay, and that's that. Next we're going to put the 3-point top cover on. Actually, I need to put that clip in that bolt. Alright, ready to put the 3-point cover on. Got her gasket, got her seal. That's very important. That comes from the pump down here. Gets shooted up through that hole. Gets plumbed up to the priority valve up there. And from the priority valve it gets directed to the remotes. Or through the cover down into here. And yeah, we're ready to put her on. That's all part of our draft. That's our sensing arm. And that senses needed draft. It pushes this arm that way. And that closes or opens your 3-point valve. That's my understanding of it anyway. Because that is connected to your main control, 3-point control. That there, which is connected to the valve. And then this draft, that's your draft linkage there, connected to your lever. When you put that in the desired position, this arm here is either gonna open the valve or close the valve. So I think we're ready to go here. Started on our dowels. There she is. Only one dowel pin needed. Got to make sure that arm is on the back side of that arm. So I think we're good. I got the rear attached to the front. I pulled my MCV pump out to check it out because the TA was rattling, I was told. That all seems pretty fine. I think the rattling was in the differential over there. But getting ready to put my gasket on. 14 thousandths gasket. On this MCV pump we got that extra plate right here. I think the 1486s, 1086s had it, and the late 66s had it. And that was because they're running a bigger PTO driven gear back here. I think it's a 59 tooth, and they couple that with a PTO drive gear that has 26 teeth. Unlike the early 66s, I think they had a 28 tooth and a 58 tooth. And they did that because they put a 2600 RPM pump on. The early 86s had a 2400 RPM fuel pump. So they were just trying to match the PTO RPMs in the back. Is all they were doing there. But you definitely want to match the thickness of this gasket up with the new gasket, so we get that pump gear shimmed to that gear there. Torquing her down to 25 foot-pounds and broke a bolt. Never had that happen before. That is an IH bolt. That sucks. There it is. The MCV and battery are back on. About ready to put the final drives back on. I think our place isn't. Might want to let her down and move our strap out here.
Anything on this out here?
Right, I think we need to move our strap out here. Well, can you get the bolt started? Or?
Mike, what did you got?
Well, the day is winding down and coming to an end. And here's today's progress. I think we're gonna have a full day tomorrow, but she will be backing out of the shop. Alrighty, got the quadrant in, got the linkages hooked up. And I remember the customer said that it was hard to shift. And you know, we found that bent arm underneath the range. That could have had something to do with it. But another thing is on the speed here, you see that linkage. That linkage is hitting that arm right there. That's an aftermarket arm. It's thicker than the originals. Right there. When she pops up though, then it'll go. Alright, machining complete. We got a smooth first. Park lock working. But the problem is when you're in, get that snugger. Problem is when you're in first gear right there and you want to bring your range into high, it's pulling first gear out of first gear. And see right there, you can get her back in, but that's where the hard shifting was coming from. So, and I just don't think there's any possible way to flip that turnbuckle on this side, because that arm is just too high. So I'm gonna have to monkey around with it for a little bit. Here's my park lock safety switch. If you remember in the first video, I bypassed that when I was running the tractor with the range cover off there. Well, that goes right to here. As you can see, want to make sure that lines up with this park arm. Since we have a new bowl pinion, new bearing, new race, gonna have to reshim the piston housing there to the bearing. Ew. We have movement. Had a return fuel malfunction there. Oh, that rattle is coming from right there. That's good. I guess we'll try her in all the gears here. Anything leaking? What?
Mine right here.
Yeah. Try our reverse. linkages working there how they should. Amplifier engaged. Yeah, so we went from all this noise to what she is now. Now tomorrow we just have to un-F the shop up and put the hubs back on. Need to put the light on there so we can see in the darkness. What do I gotta do? Gotta check the speed sensor. Gotta put the hours on the filter housing so the farmer knows how many hours it was since the last oil change. And yeah, good to go. Doing a little test drive in the burb, and oh yeah, fourth gear is definitely working somehow. Not exactly sure how, but it just started working. I disconnected the battery for several days, and I did that several times, but after the several attempts, success was found. So that's pretty neat.